Alright lads, welcome to another video. We're going to be going through some aim improvement tips. These tips are pretty good. They came from my head, not from other YouTube videos. Some of them you probably would have heard of, but I tried to keep it organic and come up with these myself. I actually did a brainstorm session to find out all these tips. So trust me, some of them are pretty unheard of. Some of them are a bit weird, but then the last one is going to be a big help to you. So I recommend you stay around till that. And at any point throughout the video, you want to hit the sub button. In the bottom right, there's a little wood logo. If you tap that, it'll bring up a little pop-up saying that you can subscribe. So you just tap sub if you want. Like, it's just there, just letting you know, making you aware of it. You don't even have to click off the video, so you know it would make a great deal of help to me. So thank you very much if you did that. But moving on, we're gonna go off with tip 1, which is mouse control. It's very important to have good mouse control, and by that I mean literally squeezing the mouse hard. Not to the point that it's gonna break, but just having a firm grip on it so it's not slipping, and make sure you're, applying pressure on it down to the mat. I know you might not think of tips like that before. You might think they're pointless or that you already do that, but trust me, if you consciously do it, so like you are aware of you doing it, it can really improve your aim. You'll even with editing, I've noticed. I did it in this Zone Wars game just to see if I was right with the tip, because it's kind of a weird one to give out, so I had to make sure it was a good tip and it wasn't just something stupid. When you're editing as well, when you have a firm grip on your mouse, you mess up less. It is a bit stiffer to play, especially with me on a low sensitivity. Like I'm playing 400 DPI on an 8 cents. I don't think it's exactly mongraal low, but it's pretty low. But anyway, moving on. Mouse control, along with the thing. Actually, while we're on the topic of sensitivity, you've got high sensitivity and low sensitivity. Just for anyone who doesn't know, it is way easier to aim on a low sensitivity than a higher sensitivity. I think that's just like common sense, but it's basically because you have more range of motion on a low sensitivity than you do on a high sensitivity. When you're on a high sensitivity, it's harder to apply that last tip I was talking about, which is control. It's very hard to control a high sensitivity, but when you control a low sensitivity, it's easy to do and it just pays off inevitably. So yeah, that's that tip. Well, moving on to tip 2. That was kind of just a bonus tip that I threw in, but tip 2 is obviously you have your main aim mechanics, which is just being precise, so your precision and accuracy. You have your flicks, which is kind of like just aggressive kind of, you know what a flick is. It's just aggressive aim. It's not as slow and precise. It's more the opposite, which has to be a fast movement. That you would prefer it to be precise. But anyway, you've got your precision, you've got your flicks, and you've got tracking. Tracking is very important, especially when you're aim down sights. But the two things people don't actually think about when it comes to aim is recoil control and bloom control. They are also mechanics that can be improved. Bloom control, I know you might think blooms can't be controlled. They can be. If you shoot slower, if you can time your shots a bit better, you might not hit as many shots, but if you're an accurate player, you might be able to get a headshot in there. And you know, it's not like a bloom fight almost. You're not wasting and taking like hits off luck. You're actually being precise about it, especially if you get first shot off. It's definitely worth to just keep tapping slowly at people. Like, you see me do it a lot. Even with the AK, I'm trying my hardest not to spam, because the AK is just a piece of shit, to be honest. But you know, I try my best with the AK, but definitely with the SCAR and stuff like that, you'll just be conscious of the gameplay I have running in the background, and you might see how I use my gun and how I aim. It's a bit weird, but trust me, it's a good tip to be conscious of your bloom control. And along with recoil, it's pretty easy, and it's different in the likes of COD. Okay, this is where it's a weird tip. In the likes of COD, you need to kind of use a certain weapon to get really good with the recoil. But there's a lot of weapons in COD. But with Fortnite, you have your 2 or 3 ARs and you got your 2 shotguns in the game right now. Like, you actually have 3 shotguns. You have that Dragon's Breath, you have your attack, and you have your charge. But you know, the longer you use any given one rather than swapping between them all, will actually show you how you can build muscle memory with that certain gun. So definitely stick to using one shotgun and just get it down. That will help you a lot. But tip 3 is don't keep swapping sensitivity when you play. I know it's hard, but when you get triggered and stuff, like you could be, I've noticed myself, like I'll be playing insane one day and I'm like, this is my sensitivity, this is the one. And then a day after, I'm like playing shit and I'm like, man, this sensitivity is not as good as it was. But it's not the sensitivity, okay? It's your muscle memory has to adapt. So it's not going to be perfect 24/7, but what I'm telling you to do is just stay with it. Stay with it. Unless it's actually a calculated sensitivity change and you're just feeling like maybe I should lower it to get a bit more precise. Like if it's something like that, then maybe sure, yeah. But if it's just out of rage and in the heat of the moment, it's not worth doing it. I would definitely go against it. So that's just a little quick tip there. Tip 4 though is gonna be an important one. This is gonna be a reason why you should subscribe, by the way. With tip 4, I'm gonna explain more about this in a separate video. That's why I want you to subscribe. But it's gonna be a good video, I can tell you that. But if you play Zone Wars is the all-round best way to practice. It's basically, you can improve all mechanics in Zone Wars, and it's the best way to improve them. Like you can improve your AOR aim, your tracking when people are going through the air. You can improve your builds and editing. You can improve your rotates. You can improve your pressure against the storm, your decision making, your layer choosing. You know, you can literally improve everything. You can improve with certain guns, and most importantly, it's very good because you're going to improve all types of aim. You're going to improve your AOR aim, and especially your AOR tracking. You're going to improve your shotgun flicks. You're going to improve... What else are you going to improve? You're going to improve literally everything. Every mechanic in the game can be improved in Zone Wars. That's why you will always see me playing Zone Wars with gameplay more than likely. Unless it's like a landing spot video or something like that I plan on doing. And I'm also going to be planning on doing loot route videos. Like actual customized loot routes. We're going to use lootlake.net as well for it. So stay tuned for that one if you have subscribed. But moving on from that tip, it's a very good tip. So I'm just saying, if you don't have the time to aim train and you just want to play with your mates, play Zone Wars. Play as much of it as you can. It will improve you exponentially, and especially these new random Zone Wars you're getting put in with sweats. There's no skill based matchmaking, but most of the time it's sweats and bots. There's no real in between, so you can still have fun from it and you're improving at the same time. Tip 5, last tip, is going to be pretty heavy, but do aim training late at night or early in the morning if that's not possible. Late at night, because the last thing you're going to do before going to bed is aiming. If you do aim training the last thing at night, and what that's going to do is when you go to bed, it's almost like your muscle memory is going to adapt to the last thing you did. So even when I was in my sweatiest, playing competitive a lot and competing in a lot of tournaments, what I was doing was aim training at nighttime and then waking up and aim training again. And that would literally double. That is literally a flea where like he does be like, no, Flea the YouTuber, he does be like triple your edit speed. That is literally the most foolproof way to triple your aim, is doing that. Is aim training the last thing before bed and first thing in the morning. But obviously some people don't have the time for that. And here's a tip for all these low sensitivity players, by the way. This is what I do personally, and this is what I meant by weird tips when I was in the intro. Basically, what I do is late at night, I will do like wrist torture aim training. So it could be like 6 minutes of intense flicks, or 6 minutes of tracking, something insane long that will fatigue my arm greatly. Especially if it's fast flicks and you have to zap around your desk, especially on low sensitivity, it's almost impossible. But what I do is I will do it with a jumper on. Or even if you're playing Zone Wars and you're practicing, play with a jumper on. And what that does is, because if you have a cloth mouse mat and a jumper, they're both similar fabric, they're both cloth. And what happens is when the fabric rubs off the fabric, it doesn't give that kind of slidey feel. It feels very stiff. But that will mean you're also carrying the weight around of that jumper arm and that sleeve. So it will fatigue your arm way quicker. But what that's doing is actually building stamina with your arm. And you're going to be able to last a lot longer in games without getting like muscle cramps and fatigues. It will like not hurt, but you will get cramps up. And you'll get tired and stuff when you're playing with it for the first few times. But that's the whole point of it. That's the way it's meant to feel. But afterwards, after a few weeks, it'll loosen up. And it won't feel so much as an effort playing with a jumper on. But I just do it in the evening when I'm practicing. just to help me, you know, burn out my arms a bit more, so that way my muscle memory has more to recover from. It's like a big hit. It's like going to the gym and doing 2 or 3 days of arms in a row, you know. It will just burn your arm out, and then it takes a lot longer to recover. But it's also a good thing to stimulate that muscle that needs to be repaired. It works the same way as the gym, just trust me, it will work. I don't know how I'm meant to explain it, because you need to know a lot of muscle knowledge and protein synthesis and stuff like that. But in the long run, it will help with muscle fatigue. It will help you from stop feeling fatigued. That's all the tips I got. I feel like I should leave you with a bit of gameplay. I actually am talking in the gameplay as well. I think this game I might come out and win. I'm not too sure though. I might do a cut and give you a game that I win. Because I win a lot of games. When I'm playing tonight, the night I recorded this, so I won a lot of games. I'll give you a good gameplay, don't worry. So that's that. There are all the tips. If you haven't hit that sub button yet, I would greatly appreciate it. And please hit that like button. I'm not gonna beg. If you don't want to hit the like button, you don't have to. But if you're not, you know, doing nothing else, you might as well. I'm gonna be coming with a lot of tip videos. I think we've got 10 videos coming out this week. So I'm gonna leave it at that and let you run with some gameplay. And hope you have a good one. Why can't I damage him?
Lord. He's got it.
This is on my tarp as well.
Okay, 2 of the people left there, pretty terrible. I nearly killed both of them. He was one of the people that were terrible. Better than I thought it was. Oh,